What's up, guys? Rob from Legit Brownies Gaming here, bringing you a different sort of video than the videos that you guys are kind of used to on this channel. This is going to be as you can see, my throwing my hat in the ring for Nickelodeon All Star Brawl, the new game that is coming out tomorrow, October 5th. A game that I'm super excited for. I've been watching as much content about it as I possibly can. I am very excited for this game. So I figured, why not? I've been having a lot of fun. I've been doing a lot of kind of intensive research, probably way more intensive research than should be done for a game, like a quote unquote, party fighter. But I mean, yeah, frame data and stuff. So, yes, I've been counting frames on the reveal videos and stuff like that, and so I figured, why not? So just a full disclaimer to start. No, I don't have the game just yet. I know that some people like Armada, HBox, Leffen, and whatnot, and even some people in Australia, due to time zone differences, have the game already. I do not. So obviously this is not hands-on experience. As well, I don't have any professional esports fighting game experience at all. I've never been a pro player, or I've never even so much as gone to a local for something like Smash. But I do think I want to maybe get involved with this game. I definitely want to get involved with some locals and stuff if they have tournaments for this game. So I figured, why not? If this is a game that I kind of want to take a little bit, not more like super duper serious and hardcore, but a game I want to get good at, a game I want to be good at, and perhaps maybe get involved with tournaments and stuff. I should at least know what I'm doing. So yes, I don't have any pro experience. Yes, I know that guys like Mewtwo King, HBox, Armada have already put out tier lists based on their gameplay experience. So their videos might have a little bit more backing on hands-on. These are purely from what I've seen from the reveal videos and kind of my interpretation, which again is not based in any sort of professional play, but just somebody that, I've played all the Smash games. I've watched my fair share of Smash tournaments and stuff, but obviously I don't have much experience in that realm, so take that for what you were. This is more just me kind of throwing my hat in the ring, so to speak. So I haven't stratified the tiers into S, A, B, C, D because I don't have the game on hand. So I think making that kind of hard assumption and being able to put them in that many layers would be kind of difficult to do without actually having the game on hand to kind of test it out. So I've just simply split it into high, mid, and low. I'm going to go through each of the characters, and these will be in order in these different tiers. So I'm just going to go through and kind of just give my thoughts, and as the game progresses more and more and we see kind of how the meta develops and I get my hands on a little bit, maybe I'll come back and make another tier list. That is, S, A, B, C, D. This is more just kind of a general thoughts list. So we're going to start with the low tier characters. The character that I think, and I have little ratings over here on the side as well for how strongly I feel about each of these placements. And I'll let you know, do I think that this is a good estimate, or is this a character that I don't really know? Do I have questions about? Patrick is the worst character in the game. And I think this has been kind of universally acknowledged between, Hungrybox's list and Armada's list based on their hands-on experience and plus what I saw in the video. I labeled this as a green confidence, basically meaning I have high confidence in my placement of Patrick as the worst character in the game. His frame data just isn't very good. He's very slow. He doesn't really have a lot of range on a lot of his moves. He has some kind of tricks up his sleeve. He has the hug driver, the patricide, which is probably going to mix up some young players or some newer players. He's got strong attacks in terms of knockback, but his aerials are nothing to really write home about, and his recovery is super exploitable. Low range, not really great combo games, slow on the ground, and he doesn't even kill that much earlier than a lot of other characters. So for that reason, unfortunately, Patrick is going to be placed in low tier. Joining Patrick in low tier is Ren and Stimpy. So Ren and Stimpy have a lot of the same issues that Patrick does. From their video, you know, their moves have a little bit more range on them, and they do have a little bit more mix-up potential, but their projectile, you know, the thing is you have to keep in mind in this game, you can grab projectiles, and their projectile being as big and slow as it is, and you can also hit back any projectile that is thrown at you. I don't think that their projectile is very good. It's very slow, and sure, it bounces off the ground, so it's kind of got a weird movement pattern to it, but it's very slow and easy to read, so you can just grab it and throw it back, or just simply hit it back at Ren and Stimpy. Some characters, it just straight up bounces over their head. It just bounces that high. So combine their slow movement speed, slow attacks, somewhat limited range, and a mediocre projectile, and then you add on top of that their mediocre recovery, which is just kind of straight up and down, and then their comeback mechanic, their version of, I guess, Wario's Waft, First Fart, where you have to hit essentially parries, or not parries, counters in order to charge it. So not only do you have to charge it by hitting counters, which at high level play is already something that's pretty difficult to do. You know, you have to hit hard counters in order to charge this comeback mechanic. You then have to land a move. So it could all be for nothing if you land all these counters and then you miss the move. So Ren and Stimpy, I'm overly not really all that impressed with them. They're another green bar for me. I'm pretty sure they're going to be a low tier character. Next up we have, yes, unfortunately we have Michelangelo, joining them in the middle range of low tier. Mikey, his frame data is just slow. He's got a lot of really slow moves, and he just doesn't bring a lot to the table, I don't think. You know, he has some good mix-ups. The grappling hook can be used to extend combos, but unfortunately that also means that his grappling hook is going to be a forced tether recovery since it's up B. So I imagine that's going to get gimped out and called out a lot by characters with good aerials and good edge guarding games. You know, his aerial game is just kind of okay-ish, but he doesn't really bring a lot to the table. His projectile is nothing really to write home about, honestly. Kind of the same as Ren and Stimpy's. It's big and slow moving. You can grab it, you can hit it back. It's probably not going to lead to a whole lot. And he's, you know, overall Mikey is basic, simple, nothing impressive, and his slow attacks and low tier recovery, I can't really see him being all that useful in the meta. And if you're wondering why I keep looking over to this screen over here, it's because I have my my notes are up on this screen. So Michelangelo, another green bar low tier character for me. Next up we have the first character who I actually kind of have questions about being in my placement, and that's Helga. So Helga for me was a yellow confidence bar, which means I'm moderately confident that she's going to end up where I put her, but I do have some questions. And the reason I have questions about Helga is she's actually got pretty good frame data. I mean, Helga's frame data across the board is either among the faster side of things or kind of average. She doesn't really have any super slow moves except for her strong dash attack, and her damage output is either average or above average. The problem with Helga that I see is that she has a lot of attacks that have very high knockback, and that's going to lead to her having issues landing combos. And in a game that, I mean, if you've watched anything about Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl, you know that this game is fast. It's very, very fast. And landing combos is very, very important. Being able to string together those combos is very important. There's a very strong punish game in this game, and so she's fast and she's got good frame data, but her hits are pretty strong, and a lot of the times even the light ones have knockback that's to the point where she can't really string combos together. Also, her recovery is very predictable. It's just a straight up and down recovery. She has a decent projectile that comes out okay speed, but it's not anything that's crazy. It's not anything that's super quick. I think what she does well is that she's kind of that balance between being a super heavy character with all these really slow moves and also being fast enough on the ground and with her frame data that she can be effective, but she doesn't bring as many tools to the table as a lot of other characters do. And she does a lot of what other characters later on in the list do, just faster but not as effective. So overall, I think I could see Helga easily trending up towards the lower half of mid tier for sure. I do have some questions around her spike game and offstage game. But overall, she's got a little bit of low range, a little bit of an issue recovering, and I don't know. I don't feel too bad about putting her here. And then up next is my first red bar character, which means my confidence in placing this character in this spot is low, which means I would not be surprised to see this character shoot way up from where I put them, and I would also not be surprised to see this character go down from where I put them, and that's going to be Sandy, who we're going to be putting in low tier. She's the best character out of low tier. These are all the low tier characters in my opinion. But the thing about Sandy is we have to find out how the lasso meta is going to develop. That is going to be kind of the crux of how she's going to interact with a lot of characters in this game, I feel. If we're getting really, really good mix-ups with her lasso, and those lassos are confirming into some of her stronger hits like her down smash, or her down strong, I should say, then I could see Sandy being a pretty good character. She's got some pretty good aerials. In fact, she's got some of the better strong aerials in the game as far as kills are concerned. Her recovery seems okay. It seems fast, at least, which means she should have a somewhat easier time recovering than some other characters. She's also got some recovery mix-ups with her down special. I just think there are better characters that are the heavy hitters. There are 3 heavy hitters down here, kind of in the low tier category here. But I would not be surprised to see Sandy go really even as high as upper mid tier. If that lasso game gets developed and we're seeing a lot of those mix-ups and confirms lead into her very strong moves, I could see Sandy moving up. But right now, she's a little bit slower. Her attacks are higher in damage, but they don't do anything a lot of other attacks don't. She doesn't really have anything to kind of lead her into an advantage state in neutral. Shouldn't have the projectile or anything. So yeah, I think her issues comboing combined with other things and her slower speed is going to lead her to some issues trying to match up against a lot of the other characters that are in this game, because this game is fast, and if you can't keep up, or if you don't have things that are going to allow you to keep up with those characters, you're going to have a problem. Okay, so next up we're going into the mid tiers, and we have Invader Zim. So Zim is a zoner. He's really the only character I would classify as a true zoner in this game. It seems like he relies really heavily on his neutral special and his down special, Gur, and the Garden Gnome in order to kind of wall out his opponent, to kind of protect him from getting pushed in on, because Invader Zim, his attacks are fast. He does have pretty solid frame data across the board, but his attacks don't deal that much damage, and some of them, like both of his strong ups, his strong up grounded and his strong up in the air, have really, really limited range, along with some of his other attacks kind of have some fairly limited range. So he's definitely going to struggle, I think, in a disadvantaged state for sure. He has some nice get off me attacks, like I think it's his light nair and his strong nair are both pretty good get off me's because they kind of surround his whole body, but it just seems like he's going to rely really, really heavily on ledge trapping and edge guarding with his projectiles. You could throw the gnome out on the ledge and kind of cover those options high, while maybe doing a down smash, or you can use your up B, which drops a bomb underneath you. So I do think Zim is going to have a really, really good edge guarding and ledge trapping game. I just think some of the faster characters are going to kind of get in on him a little bit more, specifically because his movement isn't really the fastest. You know, his movement speed as a character is kind of mid to lower end of the game. So we could see some issues with Zim getting bullied, you know, up close. So I said he's a yellow bar. I'm not super like as confident in his placement as I am in some other characters, but you know, I think if they develop his projectile meta a little bit more, Zim could trend a little bit higher, but I don't really think I see him as much of a super high tier threat when I compare him to a lot of the other cast. Next up, these are the two characters that I have the least confidence in my placements on the tier list. So next up we have Lincoln Loud. And the reason I have Lincoln Loud in mid tier and the lower end is because I don't know how his water gun's gonna play out. So they had to nerf his water gun because in the video that we saw for his character showcase, his water gun was ridiculous. It was a stun that locked you in place, and there was an infinite involved with it. You could just water gun into any kill confirm, and it's kind of crazy. But I don't know how his new water gun plays out. What we do know about him is that his yo-yo jabs are pretty solid frame data wise. They're pretty quick. He has some really good rangy moves. You know, his strong up air and his strong up grounded. You know, using kind of not so much disjointed hitboxes, but I mean in a way they kind of are because they're above the character's hurt box. You know, with the dirty diaper and the rocket and stuff like that. So I think he's also going to be kind of a Zim character where he's going to rely a lot on his edge guarding game, because you can use the yo-yo off ledge and kind of force your opponent to either recover high, which a lot of the recoveries in this game feel like they're going to be recover high options, quite frankly, or you can force them to try to contest in against the yo-yo. And is that something you really want to be doing? I don't know. His smashes seem decently strong. His strong attacks in the air seem decently strong, but overall, I think I need to see more from his water game, his water gun game. If his water gun is as strong as it is in the video in a different way, I think Lincoln could easily be one of the better characters in the game. But right now, if I assume that his water gun was nerfed in the way that we're being told it was nerfed, where it's still useful but not super useful, I think he's going to struggle to really kill in anything that's not a ledge guarding situation. And otherwise, I don't know. I feel like Lincoln, he brings some good fast moves to the table, but he really might struggle outside of that. And the next character that I have the least amount of confidence in my placement is Oblina. So everyone's been saying that Oblina is one of the better characters in the game. I think HBox and Armada both put her either upper mid to high tier, and I could easily see that because it looks like on paper Oblina is the fastest character in the game. Her movement speed is very fast. Her frame data is crazy. You know, she's got a lot of really, really solid, really, really fast hits. I mean, she doesn't do a ton of damage, but her damage for the most part is mid to good. It's either average or better. So she racks up damage. I mean, she racks up damage fast, very, very fast. Her combo game is crazy. Her punish game is crazy. She's a smaller character, so she's got a smaller hitbox for her, or a hurt box for herself. You know, she looks like she's going to be one of those people that can easily take you from 0 to like 80% in a blink of an eye, and you're not even going to know what hit you. Now, Oblina's problems are going to come in from the fact that she's very light, and she's got very low range on a lot of her moves, considering she's so small. And she looks like she really, really struggles to kill. I mean, in her demonstration video, they had to get the CPU up to above like 120 to 140% to get kills with a lot of her strong attacks. And in a game like this, where it looks like it's going to be as fast as it is, a character that needs to do 13 moves to get a kill, whereas other characters need to do 3 or 4, who's going to win that fight? A lot of the times it's like effort versus payoff. And if Oblina's effort is, up here, she has to hit a lot of moves, make a lot of combos, the payoff is kind of down here, whereas other characters, it's kind of, you take a stock with not that much effort. I do think her projectile, the garbage spit, can be really annoying if it's used properly. It looks like it's going to have that Diddy Kong banana kind of issue where it's just going to be so obnoxious to try to play around that, and you're just going to get hit in a way that you don't want to get hit. The garbage projectile, otherwise, the way she spits a random piece of trash out at you, it seems okay. It's one of those slower moving projectiles. Could be grabbed or just simply hit back or shielded, and you might be out of luck with that. So I could easily see Oblina moving all the way up to high tier, honestly, like high tier. If her speed game gets developed and more kill confirms are found where she doesn't need to put in so much effort to get to the same spot that other characters get to in 4 or 5 hits, I could see her moving up. But right now, because she has to do 40 things to get the same results as other characters that do 3 things, and are you even going to get those 3 things because you might be dead before then because you're so light? We'll see. Obviously, it goes without saying, Oblina and Lincoln Loud are both red bars for me. I have no idea. Honestly, it was very difficult to put them where they are. Next up, we have SpongeBob, the quintessential Mario of the game, and by that I mean he's the kind of the face of the franchise, the most well-known character, and in a lot of ways his game also replicates Mario because of its simplicity. SpongeBob's got pretty good frame data across the board, nothing too crazy, nothing too slow. His damage output is pretty average across the board. His moves don't have a lot of end lag. The thing I like about SpongeBob is he's got some really nice aerial spikes. He's got some nice grounded spikes. I mean, we saw in the video they did weak dash attack into down smash, the imagination clap, and you can spike off ledge with that. His imagination kick in the air is another spike. He's got his down air, which is basically just a giant punch, kind of like Mario's down air where he just punches you downward, which can lead into combos in and of itself. His projectile is a little bit slow, but it's fast enough that I think combined with SpongeBob's fast movement speed, you might be able to shoot the projectile, wave dash over, and then if they shield the projectile or grab the projectile, you yourself can get in with either hitting them or grabbing them if they're trying to shield. I think you can use it to kind of guide in your approaches, kind of like something that the Lynx do in Ultimate, where you throw out the bombs or the arrows to force your opponent into a shield or an evasive state where they can then hit him. SpongeBob's very simple gameplay wise, but he's got some combos that kind of lead into each other, up tilt, down air, sort of, or down light, I should say, sort of situation. So overall, very simple character, a character that I was thinking about playing. I think he's your quintessential mid-tier character. I'm pretty confident in his placement here. I could see him maybe trending upwards a little bit, maybe trending downwards a little bit, but I don't think he's going to move too much from that mid-tier, which I think is kind of by design. He's kind of the entry-level character if you're newer to fighting games. All right, next up we have in mid-tier, SpongeBob is a green bar, by the way, fairly confident in where his placement is. We have Aang, who doesn't want to go on the tier list apparently. So Aang is pretty good. I actually think Aang is a solid all-around character. He's got decent frame data. He's got decent damage output. He's pretty fast on the ground. The thing that Aang does really, really well, I think, is his ledge trapping. So his ability to spin his staff, kind of almost like how Lincoln Loud can use his yo-yo at ledge. Aang with his, I believe it's his neutral special, just swings his staff down right in front of him. And what he can do is, just simply stick that out over the ledge and say, hey, either you're going to be forced to recover high, which some characters just straight up might not be able to do if they don't have an angle on their recovery, if they don't have an arc, or you're just going to have to try to hit me off ledge with some kind of up air, or you're just going to get gimped because I'm just going to stand here with my staff. um, you know, his strong attacks are decent. You know, they cover some decent ground. They have a little bit of lower knockback, but his light game, you know, is pretty good. He can combo into a lot of things with his light game. He has his down special with the air ball can be used for kind of a tricky mix-up, but overall, Aang is pretty simple. There's not a lot of mix-ups in his game, all things considered, and he kind of has the Oblina issue where he has to put in a lot of work in order to do a lot of damage to get a kill. You know, he does have a nice comeback mechanic, which, you know, above 100%, he has a really, really nice kind of combo breaker with his avatar state, which comes out fast. It does decent damage, surrounds his whole body. So he has a nice comeback mechanic built into him, a nice get off me attack. But overall, I think he is going to be really, really difficult to recover against. But if you manage to stay on stage, there are other characters who have stronger neutrals that will be able to do more work. He's a yellow bar character for me. I can easily see him moving up a little bit, though, if some more of his speed game is developed. So moderately confident, not super confident in his placement. Up next, we have the other, well, not the other Avatar character, but you know, we have Korra, and Korra, I think, does a lot of some interesting things, and mixing up timings is her main thing. You know, her light attacks can instantly be chained into another light attack if you press the button again. So she can either kind of do a one-hit combo, or not even, you know, she'll a one-hit move that can lead into a combo, or she can take that automatic chain and do a two-hit combo. So she's going to mix up the timing on that for your kind of techs and your recoveries and stuff. All her specials are able to be charged. So again, another timing issue with that, you know, with her is, you know, you're not really going to necessarily know when her special moves are going to come out. She also has light and or heavy, and I guess we'll say heavy and light knockback moves on her strongs. Basically, her strongs have two different variants. If you tap or hold the button, she can either do a normal strong or a heavy strong, and the normal strong have lighter knockback, and that's also really good because you're essentially able to customize your knockback for different situations, meaning you can combo into different things with lighter knockback, or if you're looking for a kill or a spike, you can use the heavier version of those moves. Try to, or, you know, knock them off the stage and get that edge guard and stuff of that nature. So, you know, basically being able to customize the timing on all of your light attacks and your specials because they can all be charged, as well as being able to customize the knockback on your strong moves. She's going to be very difficult to predict in terms of playing against her. You know, your opponent's going to have all these essentially options at their disposal. And yeah, I think she's got a really, really good, and she's really cool as far as her aesthetics are concerned. So this is a character I'm actually excited about. She's got some really nice moves up her sleeve. You know, the things that are gonna kind of hold her back is, again, she has a little bit of an issue with killing, kind of similar to Aang, kind of similar to Oblina, where it seems like there may be a lot of work needed to be put in for her to confirm those kills. But I think overall, you know, she's got so many kind of tricks up her sleeve that she'll be a pretty good mid-tier threat, and she's another yellow bar character. I could see her being high tier with just the amount of options kind of at her disposal. Up next in mid-tier, we have the one, the only Mr. Multi-Toast himself, Wave Toast Man, Powdered Toast Man. So PTM, I think, has a lot of potential. Honestly, he's another yellow bar character. I could easily see Powdered Toast Man moving up to high tier, and the reason is, yes, okay, he has Shine, you know, essentially a 2-frame down special, which he can wave toast with it. You can multi toast with it. It's a really good get off me attack. I'm sure it probably spikes off ledge like Shine does. So, the thing about PTM also is that he's got actually pretty good frame data. I mean, his attacks are in the green almost across the board as far as frame data is concerned. And he's in the upper echelon of damage. He's a heavy. He deals a lot of damage. His damage output rivals the heaviest character in the game, Reptar, with a lot of his attacks. And they're not overly slow either. And my God, do some of them do insane knockback even at low percents. So I could easily see Powdered Toast Man racking up a little bit of damage with his light attacks that are decently fast, that still do some good percentage, and then hitting you with some strong attack at ledge at like 60% on a smaller stage, and you're just dead, And I'm very scared of this character, honestly. I think there's a lot of potential with Powdered Toast Man. The reason that I put him in mid tier instead of high tier is some of his moves are kind of wonky. His projectile is fast, but the range on it isn't that great, and it's a random spread as well. His light and air, the angle at which his attack comes out is completely random. They kind of did that as a reference to the show, but I think they also kind of did that in reference to, or try to balance out a character with such a positive or a powerful spacing, or a powerfully fast move as Shine, essentially, the crust, as we'll call it. The things that are going to hold him back is his light and air is not very useful in the combo game. His combo game is somewhat weaker than other characters because his attacks do so much knockback, especially his strongs. You're not going to really be able to count on his strongs being a part of his combo game as opposed to somebody like Korra. His recovery is also very high and very fast, but it's incredibly predictable. And again, it's a very high recovery. So if you're recovering underneath the stage, you're going to get launched up, and if you miss grabbing ledge, your opponent might just hit you with a strong up air and you might die off the top. So he's a heavy character, which is nice, which means he's gonna be less susceptible to knockback. But he's got some things going for him. He's got some really good damage output with some pretty fast moves. Obviously, the Shine. His aerial game is okay, but otherwise, I think that's probably gonna be the thing that holds him back the most, is his game in the air as well as his recovery. But PTM, I'm kind of scared of this character. He's another yellow bar character. I could easily see him being high tier. And the final character in the mid tier section, Nigel. We have Nigel Thornberry, and yes, Nigel has rest, and it's a very low it's a very low lag rest too. I mean, it comes out on frame 2, I believe. If I can just really quick check my own stats. It comes out frame 4, so it's a frame 4 rest, which actually I don't think is accurate. I think Hungrybox put up a video today. I think it might be frame 2, but it only lasts like 1 frame, I believe. So, and he has crazy end lag. He has 65 frames of end lag, so a second of end lag on his rest move, which is his down special, the flick, which I'm sure is going to get memed to hell, in terms of Thanos flicking people off the stage. But Nigel's got a lot going for him. His aerial game is really, really good. I really do like his multi-hit light and air, which if you time it properly can actually leave your opponent in a stun state on the ground, or it hits them into the ground. So if they miss the tech, it's going to leave them grounded, and you can then follow that up with the flick. And the other crazy thing about Nigel's flick is that it's actually not the worst thing to use in neutral either, because it comes out fast, and unlike rest, hate to keep comparing this game to Smash, but unlike rest, it doesn't leave you stunned for as long. And a lot of the times, if you're using it in neutral, your opponent's just going to hit you out of your end lag without even realizing it. So Nigel, he's got some really good aerial moves. His grounded moves aren't too bad either, honestly. He's got an aerial spike with the scorpion kick, which kind of has a wonky hitbox. And he also has an evasive move, a mix-up tool with the worm. And, in a game where rolling is not a thing, having that ability to transition to the other side of your opponent if they whiff an attack on you and you catch them out in their end lag, that could be pretty strong. Your opponent uses a really laggy smash that if you happen to catch them in the beginning, or a really laggy strong, if you happen to catch them out in the beginning of the move, you use the worm to the other side and you hit them with the flick, So Nigel's got some moves. He's got some mix-ups, and he I think one of the things about his aerial is really well, that his combo game and his air is that does really well, is it takes advantage of bad DI. And so the only thing I think holding Nigel back from high tier is his recovery. I mean, his recovery sucks. It's actually kind of weird. His recovery seems almost better to be used on stage. His up B, up B with the whale crash landing is actually pretty decent from the things I've seen. But as far as recovery goes, it's one of the worst recoveries in the game. I mean, honestly, I think the only recovery that might be worse is Patrick's, and that's because Patrick's is so exploitable. And Patrick's can't be really used as an offensive tool as much. I mean, it can because it grabs people, but I mean, Nigel's recovery is trash. So I think that's the main thing holding Nigel back. He settles into high, mid-tier, almost high tier, a medium confidence. He's a yellow bar character, not super duper confident about that, but I think I have him put down pretty well. So now we're moving into high tier. Yes, the high tier characters. Who is best in this game, in my opinion? So starting out, rounding out the bottom end of high tier, we have Reptar. And boy howdy, when you want to talk about damage output, Reptar has the strongest move in almost every single category. I mean, he's dishing out 30% on some of his moves, like his down special. 30% no matter what with no charge is insane. And I think that's really where Reptar shines, is his specials. His moves are strong. His up B actually is like a frame 4 up B or something like that, kind of like the Game & Watch get off me attack. Very nice up B to use if you're getting comboed to hell and you just want to get out of a situation. Surprisingly good up B for such a heavy character that can also be used as an offensive tool, because when you land with it, you can bounce off your opponent in a direction that you choose and then combo into that with one of your air strongs. You hit them while they're grounded, they pop up, and you hit them with an air strong before they can really recover. But his specials are really, really where it's at. I mean, charging the down special gives you armor. You still take percentage, but you take no knockback. His neutral special, even on its own as a fireball, is pretty solid. And if you charge it up, it's one of the strongest and craziest finishing tools in the entire game with the volcanic beam. Absolute insanity. You can be on stage and essentially edge guard somebody with this thing. It's crazy. And he's just scary. I mean, when you talk about tech chasing game, I think he arguably has the best tech chase in the entire game with his down B. You charge up that down special enough, it covers like 70% of some stages. So good luck trying to tech away from Reptar when he's using that move. I mean, really your best option at that point is to try to shield and then grab him after the move. So obviously he suffers from the same kind of things that a lot of heavy characters do. He's big, he's heavy, he's slow, so he's going to be combo food. I think he'll have a particularly difficult matchup against characters like Oblina, probably a difficult matchup against Lincoln Loud as well. But otherwise, there's a lot to like about Reptar's game. I think that he needs some work in his aerials. People need to kind of lab his combos a little bit, but he might struggle in matches against heavier characters, but otherwise I think he's got a pretty good game going. So he scares me. Reptar's dangerous. He's a yellow bar character. I could see Reptar falling into mid tier, if we kind of learn to exploit a lot of his slower moves, and we're kind of realizing that, yeah, okay, he's strong, but a lot of his moves are really exploitable. But I think he's got a lot of good going for him right now. Up next in the high tier category, we have Danny Phantom. And boy, aerials, man. Aerials, man. I mean, Danny Phantom has some of the fastest aerials in the game. It's actually kind of crazy when you look at his aerials. You know, his light air, his light up air, and his light dare are either 4 or 5 frames each from my count, and his strong moves are 18, 15, 15 respectively. Kind of nuts. I mean, his aerial game is going to be crazy, and he also has one of the couple of good get off me moves. You know, his, I think it's his strong nair with the ghost rings, and of course his ghostly scream that can be charged. Yeah, he's got some pretty good get off me attacks, and the ghostly scream attack looks pretty potent also. I mean, we saw it kill. I mean, it was against computers with bad DI, obviously, but we saw it kill fairly early. And he's also got some good projectiles. You know, his ghost, I forget what it is, like the lasers that he kind of shoots out. They're a little on the weaker side, but I mean, they do some good setting up, you know, forcing your opponent to either kind of shield them or hit them back. And Danny's fast enough for sure that he's going to get there at that time. So, yeah, Danny's quick, he's fast, and unlike some of the other lighter characters like Oblina or like Lincoln, you know, he's got strong enough hits in terms of his Ghost Scream and other moves like that in order to kind of get the job done. You know, the thing that is going to hold him back, it's his range. His range is a little short on some of his moves. His smashes aren't the strongest, but I think we're going to see enough of an aerial game to where he's just going to be getting a lot of gimps and a lot of edge guards off stage that he probably shouldn't. So I'm fairly confident that Danny Phantom will be a high tier character, so he's a green bar character for me. Up next, we have the other Ninja Turtle, Leonardo, aka welcome to playing Marth. Leo's damage output as a base with no tippers is actually some of the worst in the game. I mean, his strongest move does 10% with no tipper. With tippers, though, his moves are significantly better and deal significantly more knockback. And like Danny Phantom, I think the thing that's really going to give us issues with Leonardo is his aerials. I mean, his aerial spike game is on another level. I mean, he's got several moves that spike off stage, and if you're in the air against him, you're going to have a bad time. You know, he's fast. His movement speed is fast. His frame data is pretty fast. He's got a couple of moves that spike off stage, as well as he's got, you know, on stage, he's got some moves that charge up as well, like his neutral special, mix up those timings. He's also got a really, really nice get off me backflip, which can be converted into a dive kick into any other move. You know, that's the thing that I keep in mind with all these characters, by the way, is like almost everything is cancelable. So if you hit the move, then you can cancel it into almost any other move. So, you know, if he's kind of getting bullied a little bit on stage, you can use his backflip in the air, convert it into a dive kick, and then he starts his own combo string. The main thing that's going to hold him back is obviously those sour spot hits aren't doing a whole lot of damage. Even his smashes on sour spots are really not doing a whole lot of damage. So you're really going to need to be good at your spacing in order to hit these tippers to pump out this damage. And his recovery is mediocre. It's got a decent hitbox. It goes a decent way, but it's nothing really to write home about, and it's kind of one-directional. So we'll probably see people taking advantage of Leo's recovery, but other than that, I mean, this man on stage and in the air is a menace, and you don't want to be in the air with him. If you're at a disadvantage in the aerial game, you're not going to have a good time against Leonardo. So up next, we have Toph. And yes, Toph was the kind of surprise character we didn't really know was coming to Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl for quite a while, but Toph brings some serious mix-up game, and it's kind of worrying. So all of Toph's a lot of Toph's moves can be charged. For example, I think it's the down strong can be charged in order to determine the placement of it. She also has her projectile, which can either be shot out as a singular, fast-moving rock across the stage, or you can gather more, and it's kind of a bouncing, slower, but more powerful rock. And unlike Log from Blammo over here with Ren and Stimpy, it doesn't bounce over characters' heads. So you're not just wasting a projectile. She can also store it. So, a little bit of Pac-Man energy, I think, having a couple different projectiles at her disposal. And the other thing is her strong down with the rock pyramid that kind of comes up and then slides down. It doesn't have a hitbox when it's going up from what I've seen, but when it goes downward, it's very powerful. That's a very strong edge guarding tool. And she also has the up B, her up special recovery, which throws a rock underneath her, which can also be used as an edge guarding tool. It's going to be absolutely a nightmare to recover against Toph. And that's not even to mention her down special, which her down special on the ground is nothing really special, but in the air it creates a platform underneath her. Now, it can only be used once per air time, but I mean, this character can basically recover from any one stage. You throw down a down special, land on it, jump twice, throw down another down special, land on it, jump twice, and you recover back to stage. I mean, if you die off bottom as Toph, you either got spiked or you messed up. Maybe you used your down special before on stage already and then you got hit out of the air. That's the only reason you should be losing but dying off the bottom as Toph is if you use your down special and then you get hit out of the air before you land on your down special. That's about it. So, I mean, and that down special not only is useful for recovery, but it can be used as a trap. If you think your opponent's going to recover high, you jump once, throw down a down special, and then do down smash or her down strong to kind of catch out recoveries. It can also be used as, a combo extender. You jump once, you hit him with some aerials, you jump a second time, hit him with some aerials, down special, jump again, and continue the combo off the top. Toph brings a lot of stuff to the game, and it's kind of scary. I mean, the main thing that's going to hold her back is if your opponent can get around your smash attacks and get behind you. You might see some problems there, specifically if you're charging up a down smash or down strong, you're going to take some damage. And her frame data is not terribly great. She's kind of mediocre across the board in a lot of ways on her frame data. So that's going to be the thing that's holding her back. But I mean, otherwise, there's very little to dislike about this character. All right, so we are in the top three. The top three, in my opinion, what are the three best characters in this game? Number 3, Lucy Loud. So I've seen a couple of the other players who have the game who have put Lucy more in the bottom end of high tier, even in mid tier. And that could very well be the case. But the thing that I really, really like about Lucy Loud is options. And this character has options everywhere. I mean, she's got the 3 different stances, the 3 different modes, normal, ghost, and vampire, which all have different effects. The mix-ups for that are going to be crazy. You in the vampire, specifically with the down special, again, another evasive move, being able to teleport behind your opponent with the down special, or, in normal mode doing that. Or in vampire mode, it doesn't deal a lot of damage, but when that coffin slams on them in down special, it does a ton of knockback and can be used as a pretty fast, finishing move. And then, of course, in ghost mode, you go invisible. Or no, with the down special, you have frames of intangibility when you come out of it. Again, you have options. And then as far as her ghost mode, with the invisibility, you hold down the button, you go invisible for a few seconds, and then you return to normal. Now, obviously, your opponent can still see where you are based on your name tag, but they don't know what you're doing. Are you charging, you're going to hit him with a forward strong, you're going to hit him with an aerial, or you're going to just go in for the grab? That's going to have to be up to them to decide. You know what you're going to be doing, and they might just be tempted to just hold shield, but you're just going to grab them at that point, and then you're going to get some aerial combos that they're not going to want to deal with. So Lucy's fast. She's got a really good combo game. She's got mix-ups, and her strong attacks are actually for as small and light of a character as she has, or as she is, her combo game is actually pretty, her smash attacks are actually pretty good. I mean, she's going to be another one of those characters, kind of like Korra, in that learning her matchup is going to be really difficult because it's going to be changing all the time. The things that are going to hold her back is that while her strongs are actually pretty good, they're nothing special. They're not really knocking anything out of the park. You need a hit to change your stances. So if you get stuck in a stance that you don't want, you have to land that neutral special, the bite, in order to get another, to change your stance. And then, of course, the neutral special, if you get hit, you change your stance, but it has a little bit of end lag, so you get hit while trying to change your stance. You could be in an issue there. And her recovery is not nearly as good in the other stance as it is in normal mode. So you can get rid of your stance by just holding neutral special, of course. But if you're getting hit off stage, her recovery in her normal mode is actually really, really solid, I think. But her recovery in vampire mode is only kind of okay, and her recovery in ghost mode is horrible. And obviously that's the balancing mechanic. You can't be going invisible and then also having a really good recovery. So if you get hit off stage in the other modes, you might have a problem. But otherwise, I think Lucy, in a game where options matter as much as they do, I think in this game, in a game where mix-ups are going to be as important, and in a game where keeping your opponent off balance is going to be as important as I think it is in this game, I think she's bringing a lot to the table. So it comes down to April O'Neil and CatDog. Who do I think is the best character in the game? Drum roll, please. The second best character in the game is April O'Neil. And April, man, scary. When you talk about speed, you talk about an aerial game, you talk about ledge covering, and you talk about a game breaker, she's got everything. Lucy is fast. She's got several spikes in her aerial kit. She's got one of the longer wave dashes that we've seen in the game. She's got options to rack up damage, like her down special, where she places the camera. Pose, pose, pose is a pretty good move. It comes out fast, and it's a multi-hit. And all of this generates ratings, all the camera moves for her combo, or essentially her game ender, her neutral special, where she kind of hits you with the microphone. And we've seen at full charge that thing kill from center stage at like 60%. Again, that was with a computer with bad DI, but it's not something you want to mess around with. It's scary. The things that are gonna kind of hold her back is gonna be obviously kind of having to charge that game breaker, over and over and over again. She's gonna have some kind of questionable matchups sometimes from some of the other characters that might be able to outrange her. Somebody like Leonardo might have an edge on her just from the range of his attack. Somebody like Reptar. But, I mean, she's got tricky edge guard. She's got really good aerial game. Her recovery is very long. It's kind of predictable, and you can work around it, but it's very long. And really the only thing that's holding her back is her somewhat low range and her average walking speed. But, I mean, her moves come out fast, and that's the important part. I can't... By the way, all these characters except for Reptar are green bar characters. Like, I'm fairly certain Danny, Leo, Toph, Lucy, and April are gonna be top tier characters, as well as CatDog. But the main thing that's gonna hold her back is nothing compared to the strengths that she's displaying in her gameplay. So April O'Neil, very dangerous character. Of course, that means, in my opinion, the best character in the game is going to be CatDog. And CatDog has mix-ups out the wazoo. Maybe not as many as Lucy Loud, but when you can switch stances and you go from this super crazy giant hitbox of dogs forward strong to CatDog's strong up air, the feline fist, I mean, those are two very potent moves already. Then you talk about their aerial game, otherwise is already really good. Their ability to mix up the projectile game is really interesting because that's going to keep your opponent on your toes. You know, the bone or the hairball both look like pretty decent projectiles. The bone's range is kind of but you know, you could use it as a mix-up where you shoot it out and then you hit it yourself to shoot it back at your opponent for another mix-up. They're fast. I mean, their movement speed is crazy. I think they probably have the longest wave dash in the game that we've seen. Their frame data across the board is pretty good. Their damage output across the board is pretty good. Yeah, I mean, the things that are going to hold them back is their recovery is mediocre. Cat's hitboxes can be kind of small, so you're going to have to really want to land those hitboxes. And you know, they're somewhat of a tricky character to kind of land some of the smaller but more deadly hitboxes because they're kind of lanky and weird, but they've got stretchy hitboxes, they've got option recoveries. I mean, getting up off the ledge against dogs forward strong, I don't know how we're going to handle that. So, I mean, you might just have to recover high or just jump and shield as soon as you jump, you know. Yeah, I mean, the only move I think in their whole kit that isn't good, I think, is their jab. Their jab is kind of mediocre, honestly, but the rest of their kit is crazy. So, yeah, that's Cat Dog. The characters that I think have the most potential to move up, I think Oblina and Lincoln have the most potential to move up the tier lists. Potential characters that have the potential to move down, I think Reptar might move down at some point. I think Powder Toast Man could go either way, move up or down. Sandy, I think, has potential to go up. Helga has potential to go up, but not by much for either one of them. I think the biggest question marks for me are definitely Oblina and Lincoln. I could easily see Oblina jumping all the way up into mid-high tier, you know, same with him. But yeah, I'm very excited to play this game. I'm thinking about maining Lucy with my... I think I'm going to go Lucy as my main secondary SpongeBob and my learn how to play this character for fun because he looks awesome character as Reptar. I think he's going to be the one that I'm going to learn how to play because he looks like so much fun. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to get my hands on the game, obviously, and see how that goes. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Let me know who you're planning on playing, planning on maining. Obviously, you know, like I said, kind of take this whole video with somewhat of a grain of salt. I'm not a pro player. I never have been, but I'm very excited for this game, and I might try to get involved in some tournaments. So I'll probably be posting some Nick All-Star Brawl content to the channel. Maybe, like I said, when the game's out for a couple months, maybe I'll post an updated tier list. Who knows? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and I look forward to putting out more content from this game for you guys. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys again next time.